Hello, welcome to Steak Insanity. I'm David, and this show is about my carnivore journey. And this year, from January, as if you've watched any of the last videos, you'll know I started the Lion Diet on the 1st of January because I wanted to get back into the diet and I wanted to be really strict and see how that went. So today is 1 week, it's day 7, and let's just see what the results have been so far, and then I want to get into a couple of other topics. Mainly, I want to talk about how I'm using Lion Diet to sort of get me back into carnivore. So those are the main things I want to talk about, but first, really quickly, let's just check in and see what the results are. So when I started off, I was 102.2 kilos, which is 225.4 pounds, and on weigh-in on day 7, I was 102, not 102.2, Yeah, on the 7th, when I weighed in, I was 98.1 kilos, which is 216.3 pounds. So that's 9 pounds almost lost. That's pretty good. I think 9 pounds in a week for someone starting off at 225, compared to a lot of people, like there's Carnivore Kip. I think he weighed in, I saw his video today on his 1 week on carnivore, and he'd lost, 26 pounds or something like that, but he's starting at 437 pounds or something like that. So I think it's a lot more difficult for me because I don't have that much weight to lose, but still 10 pounds, nearly 10 pounds in a week, I think is pretty good going. And I'm pretty happy with that. So last night I had just under 6 hours of sleep, 4,200 steps, nearly 1,450 calories, and 7.3 grams of carbs. So I did have a few carbs because I was super hungry. So I ate a hot dog, and I had no idea, don't at me, okay? I needed a snack and I needed to have something, and that's what was nearby. So it was the least bad thing I could do, but I didn't realize I had carbs in it, which is really weird. So anyway, I won't do that again, but I ended up having 7.3 carbs, 78 grams of fat, and 146.3. So there's your stats for nerds. And now, in the first week, I really want to talk about the headaches. I had massive headaches for the first 3 or 4 days. And that was even after having done carnivore for 3 days, kind of prepping before I started Lion Diet. And I think the headaches that I had during that time, I think were caffeine. And those were terrible, like massive, like tension headaches almost in the back of my head. And really painful and uncomfortable. I couldn't even turn my head hardly. And then those sort of subsided, and then I started the Lion Diet, and as soon as I started the Lion Diet and literally cut out all dairy, all sugar, all everything, man, that all came back with a vengeance. And so I think for anybody out there, if you're considering starting Lion or carnivore, and you really want to go strict with it in the beginning, and I think it's really necessary that you do that for as long as you possibly can, because you need to break that addiction and that reliance and that comfort of just going back to the sugar and the caffeine to a certain extent, because the caffeine comes in the other drinks that you then put dairy and milk and sugar into, like teas and coffees and things like that. So it's sort of an enabler to wanting to cheat on the diet, I think. And so you just need to go cold turkey on all of that stuff, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It is. It's going to be uncomfortable. But that's pain leaving your body. It's all the bad stuff coming out. And then you will feel much better after it. So for those of you who are thinking about it, like I said, if you're starting off, just expect that it's going to be uncomfortable and just push through. Because once you're through it, you'll sleep better, you'll feel better, you'll wake up better in the mornings. You don't need that coffee in the morning. You honestly don't. If you're not drinking caffeine all the time, and then you get up in the morning, I have hot water. Believe it or not, it's actually not that bad, and I almost prefer it to what I had before. Would I like to have a nice milky latte in the morning? Yeah, of course I would. It would taste lovely, but it's not good for me. So I'm actually weaning myself off of that. And those people who've listened to me for a while also know that my two sort of worst things are dairy and nuts. I love to snack on nuts, peanuts, walnuts, everything. They're super high in calories, they're super high in fat, and some of them have a lot of carbs in them. So from a caloric perspective, they're not fantastic to eat because you can literally rack up hundreds and hundreds of calories just by eating not very many, say, peanuts or whatever. And so when I was doing Carnivore Diet the first time, those were the foods that I always thought that was like, I said to myself and made the excuse that that was the least bad thing that I could eat to snack on. While that's sort of true, it's still not true. And doing the Lion Diet has really made me realize that. And I think dairy is the other thing. Cheese is the same, and, milk for sure. So I'm really, really trying to stay off those as well. And it's gone pretty good so far. So I've been very, very strict. I have had a couple of things, and I think in tomorrow's video, we're going to talk a little bit about struggling to find food when I'm out and about and how I handle those situations. And so we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so that was the second thing. The boredom is real, but I think that's because the way I've chosen to do it, because I don't like lamb, and it's not really easy to get venison anywhere that's relatively inexpensive, let's say. I've basically pretty much stuck to kind of sirloins and minced beef or ground beef. And oh my God, that's so boring. Like every single meal having that. It's fine and it works and I totally understand it, but it's, for me personally, it's becoming a struggle. So I've decided to try, and I may have mentioned this before, but I've decided to try and learn how to cook lamb better so that I can at least mix up the meats a little bit and still be on Lion Diet. It'd be easy if I could just eat pork, and I could, like, doing Carnivore Diet now would be easy, and that's a point I'm going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, just, cooking some steak, getting up in the morning, having some steak, for breakfast. Oh, that's another good point I should write down.
A few moments later.
Sorry about that. And then meal prepping something to take to work with me because there's really nowhere to get anything other than hamburgers for lunch. And I'm trying to not spend money on food at lunch. It's just tedious. Absolutely tedious. And okay, we're 7 days in the month. I've only got basically about 22 days to go, whatever it is. I'm sure I can make it through that. But I tell you what, I absolutely can't wait to get on carnivore. And that's a great segue into the next point that I wanted to talk about, which is for anyone who's on carnivore and is struggling, and maybe you're finding carnivore boring, do 2 weeks on Lion. Just take 2 weeks and say, you know what? I'm actually just going to eat ruminant meats, salt, and water for 2 weeks. And I guarantee you at the end of it, you will be so happy to go back on carnivore, and you'll be like, oh my God, carnivore is it feels like cheating when you actually eat carnivore food. A couple of people in the comments actually talked about this, and one person in particular, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what the handle was, but they mentioned that they do that when they get bored on carnivore. They might do carnivore for 3 months, and then they do a few weeks of Lion Diet just to break things up. And I totally see why they would say that. So I'm not looking forward to drinking lattes. I'm looking forward to eating chicken and salmon and other meats and some pork and eggs. Oh, it's going to be amazing if I can just get up in the morning and make some scrambled eggs or something and just not have to have a steak for breakfast. That's going to be amazing. So it's a really good way to kind of shake things up. And maybe if you're thinking about doing carnivore, maybe do a week of Lion or a week or 2 weeks of Lion to start off with. And it's a hard shock. It will break all the habits, and the dependencies and all that sort of stuff straight away. And then when you want to ease into carnivore, you'll actually be really happy. So I think that's another thing that probably as I've noticed this time that's different than when I did it last year, or last year this time. And one of the things that I just thought about was breakfast. And in all the notes that I keep just a note column to write things in. And one of the things that I have noticed is that in the very beginning, the first few days, I was very disciplined about getting up in the morning and making some breakfast. So I would have some sort of meat in the morning before I went off for the day. And then, I would have my lunch, and then I might have dinner as well, because I struggled to get the calories in, as you have seen before. But recently, the last few days, I haven't had breakfast. And then I found myself really hungry in the afternoon. And I think that having breakfast is probably crucial. And I'm not a breakfast person. I generally don't like to get up and have food in the morning. My actual routine is get up, have some coffee, take my son to school, get to work, have a coffee, go to the coffee shop, have a coffee, figure out what I'm supposed to do for the day or whatever, and then go into the office, kind of drink coffees until lunchtime. That's what I normally do. But I find with this that if I don't eat something in the morning, I am quite hungry by lunchtime, and what it does is it makes me want to snack. And so I'm going to really try to get back to having some breakfast in the morning, but I'm going to try and find something else that I can eat, like a different type of meat. Maybe I'll eat mince in the mornings because it's easier and quicker to put together and to cook and whatever, and then I'll take steaks for lunch or vice versa. But I'm going to try and mix it up and figure that out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Week 1, 9 pounds, not too shabby. I'm really happy with that. I feel way better. I'm a bit bored with the food, but other than that, I'm still on track and pretty happy, and pretty excited to see where I can go in the next week. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight, and then I'll do another one tomorrow, and we'll have a look and see what happens. But for now, we'll see you guys anon.